Tonight's Coaching Show with Hempfield Spartans coach Rich Bowen is presented by the Ground Round near the Westmoreland Mall in Greensburg. Whether it's specialty burgers and sandwiches, one-of-a-kind fajitas, or one of their homemade dinners, we've got what you like at the Ground Round.
We continue live from Spartan Stadium back here on the Westmoreland Sports Network pregame show, and it is time for the head coach Rich Bowen show. Once again this season, all season, brought to you by the Ground Round in Greensburg, the Ground Round near the Westmoreland Mall. We've got what you like. And Coach, as we usually do, let's start with last week, the loss to Plum to open the season. Just your general thoughts. You did go ahead 3-0 early, but Plum's offense seemed to get rolling in that first half, and despite playing better defense in the second half.
Yeah, Dan, Plum's a very good football team. They have a lot of skilled kids. We're not going to see that type of skill probably too much in our league, but they're good up front. They're an experienced team. I mean, they're picked. I think they're in the top 10 in the Whippeals. So, we played a very good football team, but I was very encouraged by what I saw from us, too. Offensively, we ran for close to 200 yards, threw for 120, so we had, I think, roughly around 300 yards of offense. And the first half, we did not play good defense. I mean, we're the first to admit that, but what I was very proud of, after coming out after halftime, we forced them to punt 4 or 5 times in the second half and really played tremendous defense in the second half, so I was proud of that.
Yeah, that was going to be the next question to you, Coach. As you mentioned, defense struggled in the first half, but great effort there in the second half. What did you see from them? Was it just kind of getting a little bit more comfortable because, again, you guys are pretty young again this year. Was it just kind of getting their feet underneath them a little bit in that first half and then coming out in the second half and tackling better?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the first half, I don't think we had a senior on the field really too much in the game against Plum on defense, but I think the speed of the game in the first half was, they weren't used to that. A lot of them were making their first career starts, so I think they were a little wide-eyed at times. And the second half, we just settled down and played much better defense, and I was proud of the way we played.
You mentioned offensively, big nights once again for your quarterback, Danny Walters, and, of course, Donnie Washington. I have to ask you, though, your top 3 receivers from last year are either graduated or injured, and I want to ask you about Dylan Sikora here in a couple of moments, but needing some young guys to step up right now, Coach, like DeAndrith and Clark Peterson and some other guys?
Absolutely, and I think Nick DeAndrith making his first varsity action as a sophomore, he caught a nice long touchdown pass and did some nice running on a jailbreak screen we ran to him. And, we went into that game really with, I think, 1 or 2 varsity catches among the whole receiving corps. And, that's something that, we'll get better as the season go on. We're very young at receiver. They're learning how to, run routes and get open against some very good teams. And Plum, I tell you what, Plum's secondary and their corner play was outstanding. They don't leave you many windows to throw the ball in. So, we got baptism by fire on Friday night with their secondary. So we'll get better as the year goes on.
22 carries for Donnie Washington last Friday. Looked really good. Also had some big catches for you as well. Are you expecting that to kind of be his workload, maybe like Joey DeFlora used to carry the ball that much each game, or would you like to have another running back to kind of take some reps and maybe give Donnie some time off here and there, or is Donnie going to be your workhorse?
Donnie's going to be our workhorse. Donnie is very good. I mean, he's in open space. He's outstanding. He runs between the tackles very well, too. So we expect that kind of performance every week from Donnie. And we got to limit his carries a little bit. He's not the biggest guy in the world, but somebody will step up for us.
Any update, Coach, first of all, on Dylan Sikora, the injury in baseball season? He broke his leg. And also any injury update on your tight end, Adam Hutchison, as well?
Yeah, Dylan Sikora, we unfortunately, the first week of the season before we played Plum, he had another injury setback, which is probably going to set him back and miss the season for us. I mean, he was really coming into his own as a receiver. I think he had 25 catches for over 450 yards last year and was just a kid that we expected really big things from. We expected him to take over for Dante Luther and be that 40 to 50 catch guy. Sure. And just very unfortunate because he was an excellent receiver. He would have been a 3-year starter for us and voted team captain. You just feel awful for a kid when that happens. And with Adam Hutchinson, he's definitely going to be out for a while. We might get him later in the season. I'm just week to week with him, but I don't think we'll see him for a little while.
Obviously, it opens up opportunities for other guys, Coach, but, when you're a young team, I'm sure that has to be challenging to lose some guys, not only that are good on the football field, but also leaders for you.
Yeah, absolutely. And, it is. I've talked about this before, and I've never had a young team 2 years in a row. Usually you're young one year and you come right back the next year and you have all that experience back. But it just seems the way things have worked out for us, the last 2 years were very young. But, I'm so proud of the way we're practicing. I'm proud of the way we're competing. And I think we have a shot at being a decent football team this year. And I expect us to improve week to week. And, we have a great challenge this week against Norwin because, this is a very experienced, very talented Norwin football team. So, again, we have our hands full week 2.
Well, yeah, let's talk about the Knights, your opponent here tonight. You mentioned that Plum was an experienced football team, and you just mentioned that Norwin also an experienced football team, bringing a lot of guys back from last season, and a team that you played against well last year in Norwin, a 21-0 win for the Knights. But again, you had a couple of drives. You'd have finished them off. It would have been maybe a different story last year. Danny Walters fumbles right before he crosses the plane on a great play by one of Norwin's guys. But what do you expect to see from the Knights here tonight at home?
Well, Norwin, like I said, they're a very experienced football team. Offensively, they got the big running back in Peyton Deary who, he's got speed. He runs hard in between the tackles, and he got Nick Amendola, 4-year starter quarterback, coming back who, can run the ball and throw a little bit. And, they got a big front. I think they probably average about 280 across the board. Mm-hmm. So, they're tough. And they got nice skill kids outside with Anthony Delfemini and John Lichetto. And, you got to mention Stephen Petrick, a 6'5" tight end. So offensively, we got our hands full. And defensively, they play a nice 3-4 defense. They're well disciplined on defense. They come after you quite a bit. And, they're a good football team. This is as good as a Norwin team as we've seen.
Coach, I know you have a good relationship off the field with Coach Dave Brzezinski as well, with your son, Sean. By the way, mentioning Sean, what's it going to be like? You don't have to game plan for him anymore. So now, is he going to be pulling for the Knights or pulling for the Spartans? He doesn't play for Norwin anymore.
I know. I hope blood's thicker than water, but you never know. He's a Norwin Knight. And I got another one coming up through, too, Dan. I got an 8th grader who just plays 8th grade football for Norwin. He's an offensive lineman and a defensive lineman. And they
got a big win over Penn Trafford earlier this week, I saw.
Yeah, and I was proud of Aaron for that. He played really well, so I'm excited for him. So, it's going to be, hopefully, years down the road, we're going to be playing against each other here.
Should be a lot of fun in the future. Should be a lot of fun tonight, Coach. Good luck. Really looking forward to a good game against the Norwin Knights.
Thanks, Dan.
That is head coach Rich Bowen of the Hempfield Spartans. Coming up next, Dave Franzak will talk with the aforementioned head coach of the Norwin Knights, Dave Brzezinski, as we continue to count you down to kickoff on the Westmoreland Sports Network. Our Coach Bowen chat is brought to you by the Ground Round in Greensburg.